and it surprises me because if the news cycle is quiet, I get really nervous because that means something major is going on in the background, at least in my mind. So I wonder if we're not talking about it, what is going on?
Yeah. It was really weird, because when I was like, every week I need to do the thumbnail, so I was like thinking, what is the big news, and I have to think who to put on the cover. Like I suddenly realized there's nothing happened. It's like there's the only
Well,
thing that I can put on is Zelensky and Trump.
No, you should have put the thumbnail of the angry woman in comfortable shoes in the Oval Office, where she's sitting there with her arms folded. That seemed to be a kind of a current controversial thing for about half a day.
Really?
And it's like, well, sure,
I have no
yeah,
idea.
yeah.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Oh, we talked about that for 2 days in the Telegram. The woman in comfortable shoes. She's what, the prime minister of Belgium or Italy or one of those other insignificant countries in Europe. I forget who Bridget told me she was. Yep.
Yeah. Then I think the other only more significant thing was Israel started some kind of operation again in
Oh,
Gaza.
but once again, no one's talking about it. Once again, no one's talking about that the bulldozers are in Gaza, that they're sending all these refugees over to Egypt. No one's talking
It
about it.
started. I only saw one rumor was that they're offering the Islamic Jihad leadership Egyptian permanent residency. That's the only thing I saw.
Sure, but no one's talking about it. Nobody. And more importantly, no one's talking about the strategic hits of all these motorcycle riding terrorists in Syria, Lebanon, and in the territories of Gaza. So, yeah, no one's just
Nobel Peace Prize coming. Nothing's happening. The world is at peace.
Maybe. I mean, some of the guys at work were talking about how the Haifa refinery there in Israel is back band-aided together. So, but once again, it's not in the news cycle at all. So I don't know if no one wants to talk about it because they're afraid it'll get some rockets sent in or what. I mean, I don't know. So for my news cycle, I've been looking at, what's been happening with oil and natural gas running around the country and the world. And there was that little hit of 5 or 6 oil tanks there on the border between Bulgaria and the Ukraine. But I looked at it, and all I could find on Google Maps was a bunch of waste oil tanks, and they weren't significant sized at all. So I don't see how they're moving 20,000 tons of diesel a month through that place. But then again,
that's the other news, right?
Yeah, that's the other news. But we talked about that on the Telegram, where I got on Google Maps and geolocated the original site and the new site, and cross-referenced it with all the photographs of the burning rubble. But once again, 20,000 tons of diesel a month is not significant. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's not significant at all. 20,000 tons, that's just a couple of barges. So how are they moving?
Super chat.
Go ahead.
So super chat, Mr. Eric say, let's talk blue versus green Ukraine division.
Oh, I sent that before I got on.
Oh yeah, okay. I got confused because one is Ted, one is Eric. But I don't know what is this about though.
Archimedes and Vaughn and I were the three of us were talking about how we're going to divide up the territory of the Ukraine. And Archimedes has this theory that in order to make it insignificant enough that it never becomes a NATO EU threat to Russia, that you divide the territory up and you give territorial concessions to the... Now, my theory. My theory is you give territorial concessions to the countries around there. No, not countries that are making territorial claims, but rather give the territory away to the surrounding countries in an effort to make them smaller so that the piece that's left is landlocked and economically insignificant enough not to be a significant trading partner with Europe or the EU or NATO.
So who is going to do this? Like who is initiating this based on your theory?
Based on my theory, I think that it'll be the United States / Russia. Remember, it's
Oh,
in the United States and Russia's best interests to be aligned in the ending solution to the conflict. Because my theory is that the territorial claims of Russia, the United States doesn't care one way or the other, right? The United States doesn't care one way or the other. They want a cessation to the conflict. And the faster that happens, the faster the United States and Russia can normalize their relations, right? We can't normalize our relations until then because it will appear as if we give our blessing to the whole conflict, which the previous administration did. You know, they basically said, yeah, we wouldn't care if they rolled in there.
just to read the other super chat. Are we invading Venezuela to get their oil by Tech Debt?
No, we're already getting their oil, Bridget. Yeah, so that's a misnomer. Venezuelan oil already comes into the United States every day.
So so United States is funding Maduro, essentially.
Sure, not essentially. And the United States is the largest buying partner of oil out of Venezuela. But what most people don't realize is that there are refineries owned in the United States that are operated on almost all. I mean, the majority share of the oil in some of those refineries comes directly from Venezuela. So yeah, I mean that's been the case forever. Even when they were embargoed, there were exemptions to the embargo. And the exemptions to the embargo was getting oil out of there and sending it to the Gulf. You know, all the Gulf refineries can handle that heavy crude, and it's heavy, nasty crude. But once again, why would people want heavy, nasty crude? Well, it's because it's cheap, and it's not that much harder to deal with, right? It's heavy, nasty, sour crude, but it's sold at a huge discount, and no one else wants to play with it. Because who's the other buyer in the area? Pemex out of Mexico. Well, Pemex already has plenty of Mexican-produced oil to deal with. So why would they buy Venezuelan crude to run in their own refineries? Once again, they're just like the United States. The reason they would run heavy Venezuelan crude in their refineries is because it's cheap, right? It's cheap. You don't lose that much more. Yes, there's a little more processing cost, and yes, it has a high sulfur content that has to be dealt with, but the long and short of it is nobody cares because it's cheap. It's cheap enough that the return on investment for buying that cheaper crude makes it worth it. You've got exemptions so you can bring that crude into the United States. So they'll keep doing it. And that's one of the reasons why with all the other sanctions that were in place, it didn't matter because most of the money comes in from the oil. And if most of your money comes in from the oil and it's exempt, then what's the damn point? There isn't one. So it's always been a laughable point with people who know because the money's coming in from oil. I mean, it's just like Russian oil going over to China and India, right? I mean, Russia's selling all the oil they're producing. They haven't slowed up their production of oil. Well, if they haven't slowed up their production of oil, why has there been a decrease in revenue for Russia? Well, it's because they've had to sell it at a cheaper cost than they used to. because they have to discount it so people will be willing to take it. But people keep taking it. I mean, you know, oil's not like diamonds, and people will buy blood diamonds. You know.
I got a question. So I actually got two. So any other country can process Venezuelan oil today?
Well, they can. It's just it because it's heavy, viscous, sour crude. It creates more. It creates more of a byproduct stream that has to be processed to clean it up. So if it has a high if oil has a high sulfur content, you've got to do a lot of processing in the units that remove the sulfur. Right? They have entire units. That's all they do is remove sulfur out of the produced diesel. Okay, you can take diesel. You can take that sulfur right out, and you get elemental sulfur. I mean, these refineries, they have huge containers where they are liquid containers of molten sulfur. Well, the only thing you can do with elemental sulfur other than making matches or explosives is making fertilizer. Right? You can make sulfuric acid out of it, but how much sulfuric acid does the world need? Doesn't need very much, and there's plenty of places that scrub sulfur dioxide off their emission streams and make sulfuric acid off of it, right?